to watch them play once again up against Team Liquid. Team 1 will be starting off on their defense. Team Liquid on the attack. It's Oregon. It's going to be messy. It's going to be wild. But who will stand tall when all is said and done? That's what we're waiting to find out.
The only thing that we can say with any real certainty here is that both of these teams are going to fight for their lives, because that is literally what they are doing in terms of the LATAM Major. The loser here will go home. They will be 4th place overall, and they will lose the opportunity to fight for the greater share of those 6 invitational qualification points and of the cash. 4th place will take away 56 invitational points, which is alongside those gained for the final placement that they achieved in the league. I believe all top 4 in the league that qualified for the major, they get the same out of that, and then basically you can gain more by the placement that you achieve in the major. So 4th place, they will only take away 50 points. By contrast, 1st place, they take away 285. So there's an awful lot to fight for here, especially in a season that is just being played across 2 stages as we are this time around ahead of the Invitational in February. So there is an awful lot at stake here. There is a lot on the line to be played for, and they are going to fight hard for it.
Mate, this is like hell in a cell, Tim. You know, after all the games we've had tonight, we've had our Royal Rumble, we've had the Money in the Bank being cashed in, and now we're going into the hell in the cell, because this one is going to be smoking hot. It's going to be piping hot. It's coming out fresh, and it is going to look so damn delicious with the way it's going to be played. Also, I know it's a little bit of personal bias, but I love Oregon. I feel like it's so damn fun to watch with some of the games we've had over the regular season. And Tim, I was getting a little bit anxious we wouldn't see it tonight. So the fact it's been saved until the end of the broadcast, into the final best of 3, for it to be our opening map between the rematch of Liquid and Team 1, there's a little glint in my eye. There's a little smile that keeps on creeping up. I'm just ecstatic.
I really enjoy Oregon at the minute. I would agree with you, Jackie. It's swiftly becoming one of my favourite competitive maps. I think we just need to see a little bit more time on it. It's still quite heavily defender favoured, given that it's new. I don't think it will be as time ticks by. I think the attackers will get to grasps with it, and I think we will see it coming much closer to 50-50 and a nice even affair. As it stands at the minute, the defenders do have a nice little advantage on here. Team 1, they come out with that advantage to begin with. They're going to be heading straight down to Laundry for the first site, and it is a very high percentage win rate for the defenders, generally speaking, in the basement. It's a tough site to aggress onto. You've usually got rear stage or bunker as a push, freezer or Laundry. It's not very often that you see multiple of those used. Sometimes you'll get an odd token man into freezer if it's a bunker push, just to try and draw a little bit of attention over to that side. But more often than not, a lot of focus will be put onto one angle.
Oh, mate. Right. Well, we're into the opening round. Waiting for the initial contact to be found, and Palu looking towards the stairway, looking to try and do some damage here when the initial encounter comes around, but we won't see that first contact just yet. It'll be slightly slower to the burn with the way it's being played as the rotations are coming in. About 1 minute and 45 seconds still left on the clock on this one, with no early tags, no little bits of damage, no stray bullets being able to maim and do damage to Team 1. But actually, those shots could now be found relatively soon. Redux spammed upon as the Ella will have to bail out. No Umbrella could block those bullets as they whiz straight down upon her, hitting her from the elevated angle with a hatch peek. Palu as well, of course it would be him. Straight off the back of the plus 21 series, comes back in and looks all ready to find himself an opening frag. Going from the Nutri bomb to the Posi bomb as he drops that initial frag and gets the first blood on the board. There's the trade back though, Tim. It was short-lived. No hype and carnage being caused by him, as Raps will be able to respond in kind and keep it close going into the final 60.
60 seconds left to go, as you quite rightly say, and right now this attack is once again just feeling like it's faltering a little bit. We see the very late reinforcement there. We've seen that a number of times. It's one that Nesk uses himself. He will just head back through the rotation that has been left open and then just close things up behind him. It's obviously one that you've got to be very careful with. You can get caught out in that animation, but they were just ahead of time enough there. And right now, Team Liquid just feeling like they are struggling to get any real purchase on this round. 29 seconds left to go. Foles will shut down Nesk with the shotgun. That leaves us 4 versus 3. Team 1 at serious advantage here, just peeking out of the hard breach that has been opened up. Needs to be careful. Foles doesn't really need to aggress onto that too hard. He can just play the tight angle with the shotgun, but he's going to lose his life. Double for Moringa, and we find ourselves quickly 2 versus 1 as this one flip-flops back and forward. Ultimately, it's Team 1 who come in and shut down round number 1. That's going to be reasonably expected, given they were on the defensive laundry to begin with, but they managed to hold Team Liquid at bay very, very well there.
Held him back, acting like a human barge pole, or like someone with a very long arm, Tim, just hand on the head, stopping them from actually gaining any traction and getting closer. But this is certainly going to be a nice way to start the game from Team 1, right? You know, as we were saying, they've had quite a slow day off the back of the opening game. They've had to sit there and wait for the response to come in. You've now rocked up on the server. You've come into Oregon. And you really have walked away with a fantastic start. You get the first round in the bag, and it's on your defense. The half that, ideally, you want to get the majority of your rounds on. This is where you want to really butter your bread, Tim, and build yourself that baseline to actually project yourself towards the finish on your attack later on.
So far, looking at the two teams, Team 1 have played Oregon 3 times, 1-2 drawn 1. Team Liquid slightly better, 3 wins and 1 draw for them. But the worrying thing for Team Liquid here is if we look at Team 1 and we look at their defensive history here on Oregon, they have, Jackie, an impressive record. Let me tell you that. Out of 17 defensive rounds on Oregon, they have lost only 2, and those were down in the laundry and basement that they've just successfully defended. So they are now heading into a rotation whereby they are playing 100% win rate sites for them. They're going to go to dorms. They've had 6 defenses and 6 wins. They're going to go to kitchen and meeting. Defenses, 4 wins. This is not going to be easy now, really. That was the round, potentially, that Team Liquid wanted to take. It's going to be difficult for them over the next couple to not find themselves 3-0 down. But Team Liquid, they shouldn't be overly fazed by that if it does happen, because they know, as we've said at the beginning of the game here, that Oregon right now is a little bit defender-sided, just on the basis that it's a new map, and teams are still figuring out just exactly how things work, which angles should be used, and exactly where and when to attack from. So there's still a little bit of feeling out to be done there, but Team 1, they are a scary team here on Oregon.
Oh, mate. And the Team 1 Killer Bees are on the swarm. You really better protect your neck, or you are going to be left down in the dumps immediately. They are such a solid squad. We saw it throughout the regular season, Tim. They could go toe-to-toe with the finest from Brazil. There wasn't a single squad that looked like they could walk all over them. Each and every game was tremendously hard fought and went down to the bitter end nearly every single time, either being a draw or a close result when it wasn't a victory. But now, talking of victory, we're seeing some wild swings coming through, and Luke Kidd, he's setting them up for the potential victory in the round as he secures the opening frag, stays alive as well. The Jaeger here, looking more akin to something from Pacific Rim, as he can take some ridiculous blows and still stay alive to try and go for another fight. Unfortunately, eventually overpowered as they come swinging through. They double team up against him. He couldn't overpower 2 men at once, and he will be shut down and sent off to sleep. Now leaving it into a 4 versus 4 with 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock as the Liquid is getting ready, Tim. They're starting to rev their engines, and they're just waiting to put the pedal to the metal.
Just waiting for that execution, and we'll see if they've learnt anything from the game against NIP, where they lost a lot of rounds on time. I think it was on Cafe where they actually lost 4 of their attacking rounds based on that clock just running out and not having the time to get the diffuser down, and NIP just starving them out of the round. Now Paolo will be shut down by Foles, who is out on the roam. 4 versus 3, and something needs to start coming out of Team Liquid very, very soon in terms of attacking presence and executing towards sight right now, Sexy Cake. He's going to see if he can find Foles on the roam, but with only 20 seconds left to go, that is not ideal, because how are you going to deal with the push onto site? Foles is just holding himself down at the bottom of White Stairs. He's prone. He will hear Sexy Cake coming along there and get the kill nice and easily for him. Headshot, and that is now 4 versus 2. 10 seconds left to go, and this is another round surely going in the direction of Team 1, and you just don't feel like Liquid have ever made any really significant presence on site or progress towards getting that diffuser down, and that is another round lost based on the timer.
I don't want to call it too early, Tim, and potentially not be accurate, but I feel like they look a little bit tired. The way they're pushing into it right now, slightly slower, not as quick to the draw. You know, normally we know what that Liquid side's like. They're a bunch of lunatics, Tim. They are cutthroat. They have that killer instinct, and they know when to capitalize, when to burst into these rounds. They've been quite slow tonight in a lot of their attacks. They've not really wanted to go on the aggressive too much. They've been playing, but they're just not hitting the mark to the same skill level we normally expect to see. Obviously, you've had that long best of 3 series. You're going to be coming back in frustrated that it went down to the wire, that you didn't best nip, you didn't stay in the upper bracket. But these first 2 rounds going away of Team 1, that's going to slow you down an awful lot more as well. It feels like the same mistakes are being made, but it's still very early doors. We can speculate on it, but the facts are still yet to come. We'll see how it's going to go over the course of this map, of course. It's been quite defender-centric for the most part throughout regulation. We've seen the side that gets the defense start here in Oregon. With it being new, with it still being a map where you've got to find those cracks and crevices to get yourself into it appearing later on into the game. It's not too surprising, but it is still a bit worrying, Tim, because this looks more akin to regular form Team 1, whereas for Team Liquid, it seems like they're struggling a little bit.
There certainly is the potential there, and the longer this game goes on, the harder it will get for Team Liquid, I am sure. But right now, we need to remember we are on the defensive side of Oregon, and Team 1 will see some advantage from that to begin with. But, you know, I don't disagree with you, Jackie. I think, you know, you're right in the way the challenges are being made and the decisions that are being made at the minute just look a little bit lackluster from Team Liquid. Like you say, they've just come through an extremely hard-fought game. They've come off the back of 3+ hours there to bring themselves into another battle against Team 1. And Team 1, they could have benefited from a couple of hours of just rest and relaxation, get some food, take on some fluids, and just, you know, really reset themselves a little bit. And like you say, we might just see more of what we've come to expect from. Here in round number 3, they are going to be defending the meeting and kitchen site. So generally speaking, this is one of the tertiary sites and is a little bit easier to assault onto than dorms and laundry. So this could be a good opportunity for Team Liquid, although saying that, we have seen Team 1 defend here 4 times and be successful every single time. We can see Reduct on the Bandit there. He's just looking to prevent the breach of that rear stage wall. We know how important the rear stage wall is to this site, and generally the attackers will try to breach it and work in from there. But right now, it seems like there's a bit of a struggle going on. They've got themselves into attic, and that is a good start for Team Liquid because they can now force Reduct away from this wall, and it will allow them to open it. But there's still work to be done there.
A lot of work left to be done. Like a labourer, turning up to the building site, Tim. Oh, they've been given a large list of work that needs to be done, and Reduct, he had ideas to cheat the system. He wanted to detonate and destroy everyone that was lurking up above with the naughty nitro. Chucks it through, but it is going to miss. It's not going to be able to slaughter them at the minute. And now the response is coming out. On the battle here, on the vertical angle, it's not working out too well. They fire bullets down, he fires bullets up, but none of them are really landing. No flesh wounds being left, and no one getting maimed off the back of the initial contact. Flashes raining in, though, to slow them down and really starve out the information from Team 1, but they still play the prowess of it. Reduct peeking up, striking first and striking hardest. That is the main Liquid taken down and really being liquidated already. They go for the bold revive on the stairway, believing that they have the cover and the potential timing to get him back up in the fight. So Moringa is revived, but they really need to deal with this close angle. Reduct on the Bandit. He can be such a nuisance maker if they push in. He can sideswipe them, and he's just proning, bouncing up and down, taking the firefights at every instance, Tim, and they're feeding themselves to him. Another kill is found as PSK is overpowered, and one by one, they all fall down like Humpty Dumpty. You're not going to be putting those pieces back together again.
Reduct having a much better game here than we saw last time out. He certainly had his moments against FaZe Clan, don't get me wrong. I'm not getting on the criticism bandwagon for Reduct. There was just a couple of moments where he didn't seem his normal self. We saw him flat-footed, caught in the headlights, and just very easily shut down. Whereas here, he just looks sparkling. He looks alive. He looks ready to go. We just saw him bouncing up and down, just an absolute ball of energy in front of the rear stage area there, completely shutting down the push almost single-handedly. It was great from Reduct. He wasted so much time and denied so much entry there. And how about that for a start for Team One, coming out 3-0 on the defense to begin with? That is big for them, because now they get to go through that same rotation. And given what's happened previously defensively for Team One, this round would be the opportunity for Team Liquid. This is where they need to come in and get themselves around on the board down in Laundry. That is where Team One have shown that there is a potential crack. There is a potential for them to be beaten down there.
Oh, mate. Oh, Tim. Third rehost of the night. We've not had many. This is actually quite surprising.
We've not done bad.
Although we have gone back to, of course, the old method of where we judge how far into the show we are based off my hair. I did have it cut, obviously, what was it, about a week and a half ago now, but at this point it's nearly back to its length. I don't know why it grows so quickly, but it's starting to get frazzled. It's starting to get hefty.
You're a bit like Samson.
Samson?
Samson and Delilah.
Samson and Delilah?
Yeah, he got his power from his hair. He was very strong, Jackie, and I feel like the longer it gets, the energy and the wordsmithery that you bring to the cast just seems to go up along with it. Maybe that's the source of your power.
Is that some kind of Dragon Ball Z type ripoff? Are they trying to steal the idea of the power level from the hair? Is this some Goku
How can you not
meme?
have heard? It's
what
like
is it?
It's a myth. It's mythological. Samson and Delilah.
Right, honestly, I know we're normally up to date when it comes
You're
to the...
bang up to date on the mythological creatures usually, Jackie. I mean, these aren't creatures, these are humans, but yeah, it was I think it's like a fable. He was very strong. He was a strong person. He was a strong man, stronger than your average Joe. But his power came from his hair, and then eventually, I think it was Delilah cut his hair off and he lost all his power.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
God, is that like his superhero power? Is he like Man? He's just quite a strong man.
Just a strong man, yeah. Absolutely.
He's really good at putting up shelves.
And cupboards.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't discriminate. If it's flat pack, it goes up.
Problem.
Yeah. Oh, Tim. Right, well, off the back of superhero talk, do you fancy another rehost?
Love one.
All right, here we go. You're currently 0-2 for the night. Do you feel like you can bring it back on the third?
Yes.
All right, that seemed at least somewhat confident, so let's get into it. Tim, how does the moon cut his hair?
How does the moon cut his hair?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a clue in there to be found. How does the moon cut his hair? I feel like we're not talking about the moon.
Well, we are.
Or maybe we are.
Yeah.
You see, this is what I said. Sometimes my brain just goes off at a tangent, and all I can think then is like I'm just trying to think of literary characters with the surname Moon or something. You know, it's like that's the right.
It's not a Sailor Moon type meme.
I
Don't
just
worry.
go off at a tangent sometimes. You know, it's hard to keep me focused once my brain sets off. So how does the moon cut his hair? You've got me, Jackie. I look like I'm going 0-3.
Mate, he clips it.
He clips it.
I thought with all the hair talk, I might as well reel it back in. So there you go.
Production are about as happy with that as I am, Jackie. That's the worst one on the season. You've saved that one for the major.
Oh, mate, I thought I'd hold on to it. I'm pulling out all the dad jokes, all the puns, everything I've got available in reserve that I've been storing in the back of my brain box, in the brain attic, if you will. I've started to bring out now, like the Christmas lights around December.
Talking of attics, so far, for anybody who's joined us, I mean, where have you been? We've played an awful lot of Siege so far. We have seen both of the upper bracket semi-finals. To give you a quick roundup of exactly what we've seen, we have had Team 1 starters off against FaZe Clan. FaZe took them all the way to 3 rounds. It went to the very last round of overtime, round 15 on map 3. And FaZe Clan, they shut them down. And they sent Team 1 to the lower bracket, moving on themselves to the upper bracket final. And then in the second match that we've had only just finished, we had Team 1, sorry, not Team 1, we had NIP versus Team Liquid. And that was another cliffhanger going all the way to 12 rounds on map 3. We very nearly had overtime again, and NIP were able to walk away the victors that time. So they've booked themselves a place in tomorrow's upper bracket final against FaZe Clan, and that one is going to be a banger. Do not miss it. We are bringing you now the last best of 3 of the day. Jackie and I have had an absolute scream so far, and it is continuing here with Team One versus Team Liquid. They are kicking things off on Oregon in the lower bracket semi. I think it's a semi. Is it a final? I'm not 100% sure. I think it's sort of a semi. Lower bracket final, production, tell me. It always confuses me, the naming of the lower bracket matches, because you end up with like a grand final squared down the line somewhere. It gets really confusing.
The constellation final.
Yeah,
obviously people always call a constellation final, but it's like, well, it's not a star, is it?
It's absolutely not. So we have that matchup coming to you right now. We head back into it. We've just had a short rehost, and as you can see, Team One, the rest and relaxation they've had has done them a great job so far. They've got themselves 3-0 into the lead here, and we've very good defensively on Oregon. The only side across 3 matches on here, the only side in 17 rounds that they have lost rounds on defensively is down here in Laundry and Basement. They've already won it once. If they can do it again, they could be heading for a 6-0 start. And Team Liquid, you've got to ask if that fatigue is playing a factor.
I definitely feel like it will be, Tim, because it's hard, man. It's one of those, right? When you have to play back-to-back best of 3s, although obviously from the outside looking in, you can kind of feel like it's not that hard, you know? You should be able to just keep going. You should be warm. You should be handy with the steel because you played 3 hours of Siege. It's the knock-on effect. It's the fact you put your life and soul into those games. You fight tooth and nail to try and secure yourself time to rest, time to eat, time to sleep a little bit before you have to come back in and play your next best of 3 if you win your upper bracket game. So when that goes the whole way to 3 maps and you lose out on that 3rd and final map, it slows you down. You do have to reset a little bit. You can't just carry that tempo over and come in screaming on the team speak, everyone hyped up, ready to transition that momentum to your next series. You've got to restart from square one. And starting from square one, after you've just used all of your adrenaline, it can really hurt you a little bit. But that's all said and done. We'll have to keep an eye on it and monitor as it goes. Maybe there's an opportunity for Team Liquid to step back up and go toe-to-toe here on Oregon. Because, of course, it's still early doors. It's only just come up to round 4. And for Team Liquid, you've picked up 3 rounds on the trot. When do you make your first mistake? When do you give Liquid leeway and let them come in? Because if you leave a door slightly ajar, Liquid's going to slip straight through.
Looks like we've got the player cams making an appearance as well.
Yeah.
Jackie, we said production, just keep adding value here. One thing after another. We've got the zoom in on the replays. We've got the player cams now. I always love the player cam. Just gives us a little insight into their world. And right now we can see there is a lot of pressure on both of these sides to try and maintain the run that they can get in this lower bracket. They need to open things up with a win here. That is step 1. But right now, Team Liquid going for a slightly different approach to the one that they brought last time. They're going to be heading down into Freezer. And right now, that's a smart smoke grenade there coming in from Falls. Playing it in behind the Monty just forces the man to just move away and back off, because otherwise he would have been completely cut off from his support and it would have left him as a complete island to be dealt with in singularity, and that is not where Monty excels.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen Falls play that angle previously towards the stairway, definitely go back and check it out, because he's been very effective multiple times. He knows how to counter the Monty plays and knows how to effectively create that divide even with the smoke cans. It's been one of the cool plays we've seen a couple of times throughout the season, so it's nice to see it still working out once again. That is a cheeky peek, though. Nesk, you naughty man. Doing something quite rambunctious on the face to Reduct as he cleans up with the opening pick on the Ash. The R4 coming through, as it does seem like he's cheating somewhat with the way he's playing off right now. Can he maintain this level of pace and presence, though, and look for another frag? As the response is there from Falls with the SMG. Shutting down Palu on the peak back out. Tim, it's going from bad to worse as the monsoon's hitting them. And they are being swept up into the air. You've lost PSK. You've lost Palu. Oh, Nesk on the run out as well. Takes a bullet straight to the lips. And one by one, everyone from Team Liquid is getting laid out. The double team by the washing machines as Falls will end the life of Sexy Cake. Oh, that's one way to shut the series down at least. Or at least shut the round down.
Certainly is. And Team One just looking like an absolute force here on Oregon at the minute. And coming into Consulate, that for me, I mean, it's Team One's pick. They're obviously confident going in there. We know that Team Liquid are very good on Consulate. So I sort of look at it and I think, you know, is it likely that Team One just run away with this inside 2 maps? I think Team Liquid will make a very good challenge of this on Consulate. But that said, they've been very good with 3 wins so far on Oregon. The only team that have managed to draw with Team Liquid was NIP back in the very first play day. So they've been solid here as well. But right now, Team One just look fresher. And I think that, you know, I don't want to give that easy excuse to Team Liquid necessarily and sort of write off Team One's accomplishment, because that's certainly not the case. Team One are playing the side that is in front of them and they are dismantling them at this point. That is the top and bottom of it. But obviously, you know, we have to give it a little bit of speculation and just try and find the reasons why this might be happening, because we know that Team Liquid are a better side than this, but ultimately Team One have been very good on the defense, and I think that the half switch is going to be a really important thing in this one, Jackie, whether we see Team Liquid able to run it back in from there.
Oh, mate. If it comes to them being popped onto their defense, Tim, and they just can't find rounds, they're still struggling, sluggish, then the scary factor is I feel like that really spins the story of how the series could go as a whole, right? At that point, you might as well cut your losses and just start to set your gaze forward towards Consulate, a map that we know has been better historically for them, we know is close between both teams. And that is certainly something that we'll have to take a look at if Team One carry on just picking up round after round. Talking about this round in particular, though, round 5 now, again, we see another Oryx. The 5th time Oryx has been picked tonight throughout the course of the BR6 Major. Let's see if there'll be a little bit more limelight given to him, though. The other Oryx plays, not really monumental. We didn't really see anything that had us going, wow, that's incredible. You know, that's why it was an Oryx pick. It couldn't have been done with any other operator. Not really making use of his kit, what makes him unique. Will we see that unique availability being used here tonight? That's going to be the question for me in round 5.
Again, I don't see, you know, massive opportunities for it here on Oregon. There aren't hatches, generally speaking, that will lend themselves to a huge flank. I'm thinking potentially the attic hatch if Team Liquid were to breach and get through there and start to pressure from that side of sight. That could be an option, but seeing as the Oryx has been taken out, that is not something we're going to see. PSK will open things up for Liquid, but, you know, Team One have shown that they are quite capable of playing from 4 versus 5. We've already seen them defend the dorm site here. We've already seen them do it successfully. And right now, they are being held out of the upper floor of the big tower there. Shots will be exchanged, but right now, Lucid's doing a great job at wasting time. 1.5 minutes gone off the clock, and before long, Team Liquid, they're just going to have to bail on this and move away because they're getting no traction here at the minute.
Like a wet day. The tires just keep on spinning, but right now the wheels are turning and Lucid keeps on burning. As the flick shots come through, the issue is, oh no, there's a roadblock on the stairway and it's not gone well as both of them get gunned down, depth from above, as it is an awkward fight from frightening heights and the bullet rains in like raindrops, dropping down from up top and leaving them slaughtered all over the floor. The body count keeps on getting stacked as well, as finally Team Liquid have woken up. They were in a bad dream, but now they're starting to lucid dream, and they are looking like a nightmare. It's only Falls that remains alive, dancing, the dance of death here, and in the end being overpowered by the Monty of Sexy Cake that will drop the shield, bust out the gun, and slay him with a Beretta spray down.
That was very unfortunate for Team One there. Lucid doing an amazing job holding down the big tower. Just took the drop, hit the shot onto Palu as he did so. It really was something, and you feel like if they escape there, that round is maybe a little bit different, but I don't know what happened. It looked like the one man just got snagged on the stairs. I think it was Lucid's coming down here, and yep, it's Felipox in front of him. He just seems to get snagged on the banister there. He just goes a little bit close to that handrail and can't move it smoothly, and it just results in Lucid bumping into the back of him, not able to find his way past. And who else was there but Nesk to take full advantage of the situation and pick himself up the cheapest, freest 2k that he's ever going to find.
And that potentially is the round that Liquid needed. It's been the true tale that we've been spinning about Team Liquid, that we've been dropping all the way through the regular season, Tim. The fact that, of course, as you normally say, they're never out of games. They're always just on pause when they start to slow down. They're never truly turned off. It's like putting a TV on standby. If you want to switch it back on, it can very quickly come back on, as long as it's not got too much of a power saving mode.
Got to be careful with those power saving modes, Jackie, as you say. You know, if it just dips itself completely out of operation. And that was looking what Team Liquid might have done there. Sometimes you just hit that button. It's 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 minute to boot itself back up. And at that point, Jackie, you are missing footage. You are missing the opening to your big TV show.
Right.
Nobody's happy about that. You're missing, you might love that opening song, that little ditty, and you've missed a few bars and it's tragic.
Imagine you're trying to tune in to catch up on Emmerdale. You want to see the nice panning, swooping shot, Tim, over all the country, farm gardens, and you miss it. You don't get to hear the classic do-do-do-do. It's just gone. It's gone.
I love that you couldn't finish that. You couldn't paint that picture, Jackie, without a little chuckle to yourself. Thinking about that countryside. But we are here in the Oregon countryside as we find ourselves trying to bust into this farmhouse for Team Liquid. It's going to be their last attacking round here. 4-1 at the minute to Team 1. You are reading that right. They have been dominant so far. We can see Luki did a fantastic job up here previously. He's just going to avoid those flashbangs coming in. He will be challenged though, and that's exactly what you're looking for. That is how you use flashbangs. We see so often that they are piled into rooms and nobody follows them in. If they're just being used to clear utility, that is absolutely fine. If you just want rid of those magnets, rid of those ADSs, no problem. But if you're going to dump a couple of flashbangs into a room where there aren't any gadgets like that to clear out, you need to follow them in, take advantage of it. Even if you don't get that full white flash, you can see there, it just forces Luki to look into the corner, and when he looks round, what does he see? He sees a nightmare. He sees Nesk stood right in front of him, ADS'd in, and that is the last thing that he is going to remember seeing in round number 6.
Defender is exposed.
You go to your doctor, and the doctor tells you, don't worry, Nesk can't hurt you. He's not real. You get into the server, and that's the first name you see, getting frag after frag coming out as the wake-up call for Team Liquid. It's going to give you PTSD, and you are going to be terrified of big man Nesk, who is trying to really open up the game for the side of Team Liquid. In terms of this round at hand, though, there's 40 seconds left to work with. Time's ticking down, and here he comes, the main man himself, Palu. He had a crazy series back in the best-of-3 IP, and at least here tonight he's starting to do some damage once again as he'll be dropping bombs on the opposition. Frags coming back through in favor of Team 1 though, but somehow Raptors hit that shot. The connection there, a weldy onto Nesk. I don't even know how he's clipped him, but it won't matter, as in the end they'll throw the clips in the firearms and they'll slay from far away as all 3 members of Team 1 hit the DECK, and it is going to be a damn good day for Team Liquid as they've started to wake up and at the perfect possible time, stopping Team 1 from spiraling out of control and getting far too many rounds here on their defense, ending it at a 4-2 split and now being set up on their attack.
As we've said a number of times, over and over again, Team Liquid never stopped, only ever paused. And right now it looks like Nesk might have just hit that play button for them and just propelled them through those last couple of rounds there to put them onto the defense now in a decent position. 2-4, and this one is in the balance. It's there to be taken for them. That is not a bad attacking half on Oregon. Given that it's a new map, there's still a lot being figured out, and the defense are taking full advantage of that right now. Looking defensively though, over the previous record of Team Liquid, do they have what it takes to get at least 4 here? Can they take this to overtime as a minimum? Looking at the 2 main sites, Laundry, Basement, just short of an 80% win record. Kids Dorms, 60% win record. So they're certainly winning more than they lose, but there is a crack there. The door is left ajar. There is room for Team 1 to come and put the big size 10s through that crack and force the door open, kick it in and get some ground here, get themselves a couple of rounds on the board. The big question is though, can they get 3? And for me, This first round is really important. If they can come and take Laundry away from Team Liquid, I think they can get 3. If not, I think maybe they struggle.
Team Liquid, in the past, they've had some ridiculous plays towards this site. They've had some clutches of ludicrous stature. And a lot of that has gone down to Palu. In the past, he has been a gigantic mad fragger for the side. Throughout the prior series against NIP, that's exactly what he was. But that gets harder because, of course, how long can he burn at his brightest? Is he going to be the candle that burns twice as bright but for half as long? Or will he prove that it is sustainable and that he is a gigantic candle with an awful lot of wax that will be burning through the long and hard night that is coming up ahead of him, Tim, as this is only the first map. This is a best of 3. With the way it's shaping up, there's still an awful lot of quality siege that is left to come off the back of this last best of 3 here. So he needs to maintain that consistency the whole way through. I also want to see a little bit more coming out from players like Nesk and Sexy Cake as well. If you can get that triple threat back to popping off, and not only Palu being the sole survivor of Team Liquid, then Liquid could really bounce back into the matchup.
And right now, that is exactly what we need. We have seen the power of Liquid when defending down here, just holding themselves right up in the faces of the attackers. They try to take a high line, they try to take the fight right to them and take those gunfights on, but there is still a lot of work for them to do. They can't allow Team 1 to get themselves any footing here, to get themselves any real advantage, because if they do, it could be over very, very quickly for them. So the pressure is on. The pressure is on after a long day of siege for them, and it could be a really big ask. But with 2 minutes in the round, we still find ourselves 5 versus 5 at the minute, and there is no traction to be found at the minute.
Ooh. Not looking good, though, as the response comes through from Reduct. Once again, he knows how to reduce the opposition down to nothing. We got to catch the last-minute reaction there as well from Nesk on his player cam before we switched off. You can see the frustration. You can see them getting a little bit annoyed with the way these games are starting to go, Tim. Suffering, opening losses into a round like this is going to be plaguing them into the late game. They need to get some more momentum back, and PSK could be the one to find that momentum as he drops the Nitro down, flinging it through the air with his strong forearm. He overpowers another man, but it's not enough. It was one frag of many that Team 1 have been able to capitalize on. One by one, all the pieces fall into place. The fist bumps are flying out for Team 1 as they are going to be elated and ecstatic based off of that round, Tim.
Huge round for them. Coming in and taking that first attack is going to be massive. Like I say, looking at the defensive record for Team Liquid, it certainly supports the possibility for Team 1 to get into other sites and take rounds away from them. We can see Liquid heading towards dorms, and so far 60% win rate, so not too much better than win 1, lose 1 up there. And if Team 1 are beating them down in the laundry, they can certainly beat them up in the dorms.
At this point, it almost feels like it doesn't matter where they're fighting. They're just being able to overpower them into a lot of these rounds. Even if they have a slow start, even if they're losing opening picks, they're just winning back on the duels. They're winning back on the trades, and they're just keeping the game so damn close. And you can see as well, the rest has obviously helped them in the sense that they're looking pumped up. They're looking like they're ready for a lot of these rounds, Tim, and they are feeding themselves off the back of the hype. Whereas for Liquid, the frustration is starting to bubble to the brim. You can see it plaguing them a little bit. When they're losing players, when Ness died then, the frustration coming through, knowing that the difference it could have made if you still had that Jaeger into the late round, if he still could have been able to roam more proficiently, find a little bit of a crack to work his way into, act as a human crowbar to crack the round back open. But the fact he went down and the rest of the squad followed suit relatively quickly afterwards, it did frustrate them. And now they're in scary territory because this is unprecedented times here going forward in this opening map, Tim. It's 5-2. If they get another round, that's OT guaranteed. And that's a scary prospect to be at already.
It is, and in come the drones, raining through the doors just to try and gather up all the information that they can and just mark out as many of those defenders and just see exactly what is going on here on the top floor. They're going to see that Sexy Cake is currently playing in Armory, so there's going to be quite a strong Armory side hold coming out from Team Liquid. They are not going to give away any ground, any beachhead into Master Bedroom at all if they can avoid it. But right now, Team 1, they look confident and they are just rushing into these areas. Even the ones being held hard by Team Liquid, they really don't mind going in and taking these challenges at the minute. And it's no wonder, coming away from that regular season win, 7-3, 7-3, they have obviously got a lot of confidence against the side of Team Liquid. There is no fear in Team 1 playing against this side. And right now, they are looking to lock this one down in quick fashion. They could get the round here. Sexy Cake will open things up onto Raps, though. That is one for the Goyo. And right now, Team Liquid, they need to cement that. They need to really solidify that lead by getting another kill here and getting themselves up to 5 versus 3.
Sexy Cake. You got an opening pick, but what more is there from the man? Will there be any more damage that will be done? It seemed like he was teetering, debating, having a bit of an internal struggle of whether or not he wanted to go for a follow-up peek and seeing if he could find anyone else. However, there could be a firefight coming towards him relatively soon as Team 1 playing this one with a little bit more pace, more spring in their step compared to what we've seen from the Team Liquid attack, where it was much arduous rounds where they were trying to burn time down to a minimum before going for their execution, whereas Team 1, they want to play with that high tempo. They're hoping they can catch Team Liquid off guard at a good majority of their encounters, and they're looking to also play the verticality game, tearing the walls down, explosions galore detonating towards the site, leaving gigantic openings where you really need to be careful, or a stray bullet could rain up from beneath or above you and really leave you in a bit of a puddle of your own blood. PSK could be the first to suffer from it, as over the top of the foos table, we see him dashed down, crumbling, as he gets flicked out of the action by the initial contact. That is a rough trade to find. At least there's one back in favor of Team Liquid, though, as next will step up to the mark. Palu as well. Here we go. The duo comes out to play, and the Org of Palu is unbeatable. Not one, not two, 3 frags on the spin there, as he's flicking around like a lunatic and hitting them with ridiculous furiosity. Unmatched levels of atrocity there from Palu towards the bedroom. A big round to bring Team Liquid back into it, and at least they're starting to find their form, Tim. 2 rounds away from equalizing the scoreline here on Oregon.
Team 1 can't let this momentum be broken. They need to get themselves an attack on the board again here. They don't want to let Team Liquid get 2 rounds in a row and find themselves only 1 ahead, because so far they've been so dominant on Oregon. If they sit at the machines and look at the screen and see that there's only 1 round separating them, it starts to feel like an even bigger challenge to beat Team Liquid, because no matter what you do, they always keep themselves close. And right now, Team 1, they did manage to win round 7 down in Laundry. They could do with achieving that again. And I think, you know, if we look at the lineups that are being brought by Team Liquid, again, very sort of standard, very good lineups, very good compositions. As we said, Jackie, you know, we saw the Oryx pick brought along a few times, and we don't know how much use it was. Obviously, you know, there is the opportunity there, as we've said, to hit the rotates. It's also a potential way of dealing with the Montagna as well, because you can knock him down. But generally speaking, it's just not something that we see in competitive play. We haven't seen it once so far in LATAM. We haven't seen it used for that purpose, and generally they can't get near them, so it's generally a non-factor. And right now, could Liquid potentially get themselves into an advantageous position here just by bringing that utility that is generally a percentage of the time more useful?
There's an opportunity for it, and the likelihood is starting to point towards that position, as right now all roads lead to Team Liquid mounting a little bit of a comeback here on their defense on Oregon. But that can turn on a dime. All it takes is you to be able to find those critical opening frags where you take down one of the big players for Team Liquid. You get a pivotal impact frag onto either Nesk or Palu, and that will really make them struggle. One by one, that will destabilize their plays on the defense and make it much harder for them to actually find the early game advantage. Talking of which, that's what we can see right now. Fall's struggling to look for, utilizing that big old sledgehammer to crack up boards, doing a bit of renovation and opening up some new interesting angles to peer down on to at least look for a potential player and know if he can do any damage. But no one's playing there. Of course, they're much further down. They're not lurking around. They are basically playing much more of a turtle style towards the site and waiting for the push to come towards them. Not actually going for any of the info plays early on, Tim.
Hatch is going to be opened by the Hibana, and that will be successful, so that's some vertical pressure that can be applied. We don't tend to see too many kills from here, but it is a good opportunity to burn out the utility. The flashbangs going in there, just looking to burn those ADSs. There is still, obviously, deployable shielding action for the defenders as well, and Team Liquid, they will be keen to get this one on the board, get themselves back in touch, and then they can think about that difficult tertiary site. They're going to have to go to one of them at some point, and they're going to have to get a result. It'll be interesting to see which one they choose. They've had mixed fortunes so far when playing on Oregon, down in Meeting and Kitchen. So will they potentially choose Kitchen and Dining? We've seen Padrin do such great things through the season in the showers there and lock down that Dining site, Jackie, that it's something that these teams could maybe look to emulate if they are not having too much success with the Kitchen and Meeting site.
It very well could be. It feels like potentially the avenue we're heading towards with the way it's being played so far, but it really does come down for Nesk on this encounter for me. If he can play from behind the shield and be the human shield to defend their hopes and dreams into the round, but he only gets one. It feels like you need at least 2 frags minimum on that angle. Down and quell the push that is coming in from a hyped up and amped up Team 1 as they're pushing in, really looking to set a precedent now and leave Team Liquid dropping down and with no chance to achieve dead precedents at the end of the tournament here, stopping them from getting any closer towards making some money here in the major. But PSK has other ideas in mind, dashing out the C4, the nitro nonsense coming through as it detonates and destroys, leaving it all on one man. Lukid, big boy Lukey D being pushed from all angles at once, tries to go for the wide swing off the back of the pistol, but he charges into the unknown, spotted out and cleaned up. PSK with a 4K, and that is the way the round is going to go as Team Liquid keep on living the high life. Oh, Tim, the game is starting to spice up. The game is now really in session.
Absolutely huge play from PSK there, just hitting 2. Couldn't quite stop the diffuser going down, but it was a perfectly placed nitro. I think we're just going to get a good look at it now. Over it comes, and there we go, perfectly detonated, and that was a bitter pill for Team 1 to swallow. It made it very difficult after they got that diffuser down for them to hold it down. The Thatcher Lukid just left at the end there on his own. Unwinnable situation, 1 versus 3. Team Liquid are not going to throw that away from that point. So they managed to get themselves another round on the board, and that's 4-5. And for me, this is a really decisive round, Jackie. If they can take this difficult third site, they are going to go to Dining. I think that is a good shout from them, given the previous performances that they've had in Meeting. If they can take this site and level things out 5-0. First of all, we've got to remember that is all the way back from 4-0. That is Team Liquid fighting hard. And we were questioning possibly a bit of fatigue on their side, Jackie, but if they can fight back to 5-0 from 4-0 down, I think that answers those questions. They are alive and alert here, and they are getting themselves back into it. And at that point, they can also go back through those sites that they've just won. They can head back to dorms, they can head back to Laundry to finish things off. And it wouldn't surprise me to see potentially 3 rounds in a row coming in here and Liquid just polishing this one off in regular time.
Oh yeah, it definitely feels like there is a likelihood for it now. You know, it was marginal at best at the start because it felt like they were just sluggish, not really hitting their shots, that slower style on attack that they've been effectively playing throughout all of their matchups tonight. It just wasn't working for them. And again, it still kind of felt like it wasn't working for them coming into this matchup here in Oregon, but that doesn't matter. If you're going through onto your defense and you're able to just build up round after round, then forget about it. You actually got 2 rounds to work with off your attack. That's better than nothing, and we're seeing that translated now into the way they're playing it. Team 1 have been starved off from getting to the guaranteed overtime round and making it to the 6th, so this is really interesting. There's now a likelihood where, you know, Team Liquid, you can bring it back, you can go 5-5, and at that point, what's stopping them from getting another round on top? Taking it to them having the safety net of guaranteed overtime here in Oregon, and if they do that, what are the chances that they then really just spark the ignition to carry on and lock throughout the series, Tim? There's a lot of questions to be answered, but it seems like the game itself has gotten a whole lot more competitive. It's not just been the overpowering plays from Team 1 that have been securing rounds. Now it's looking like some good quality siege from either side that's being played.
Vertical angles being put to use there, just looking to build some pressure in towards site. And I've seen this attacked in both ways. I've seen top floor control gained, and then I've seen just a big focus on the small tower push as well. And generally speaking, it is a difficult side to assault. We've got Paolo in there in the showers. We've seen, as I said, Padrin do amazing things from here. We've seen him have 4Ks repeatedly. Sexy Kate gets one. Paolo looks to maybe just overextend a little bit there. It's generally quite a static position to play, but he just chases after that kill onto Raps. Will not get it and will be shut down. So that now leaves them 4 versus 4, and the showers is potentially no longer a threat. There is likely a rotation in there, so somebody could potentially move into fill that space, but that's going to allow Reduct to get in there and start to get that wall open. But with 50 seconds left, the clock is ticking by at this point, and 4 versus 4, there is still a good opportunity for Team Liquid to take this difficult third site. But on the flip side, by contrast, we've got to remember what a great kill that is. If Team 1 get this, they guarantee themselves the draw, guarantee themselves overtime as a minimum. But that was a great shutdown onto Reduct there, but that is a fine angle to have to rely on. Can he do it again? Felipox moves away, and right now, that is all that is standing between Team Liquid and this diffuser going down. Repositions, heads up play from Felipox, still killed by PSK. They can't get this diffuser down, try as they might. Out comes the Nitro and takes out the planter once again. The clock is ticking away, 1 versus 2, and this is surely a Team Liquid round, and that's exactly what it will be as they shut it down. And that is what makes a championship team coming out, winning a difficult site and being able to keep themselves fighting in what has been a tough and scrappy game for them so far. That levels things up 5-0. They've got the primary sites available to them now. I think this one just took a little swing in Team Liquid's favour.
Oh, mate, Liquid are back. The boys from the block, the terraces, the public school era, they have all woken up. And the play from PSK there, it's just absolute madness. The shenanigans of it, the vertical angle, a disgusting Kurt angle at that as well. Quite literally pixel sniffing. He's just inside the monitor, somehow hitting those shots time after time. And at that point, you cannot win by just getting the diffuser down. He's got the angle. You have to take that fight against him and force him out of position and switch up the way you're playing it. You can't just rotate in and go, all right, we've died, grab the diffuser again, try again. It's the definition of insanity at that point, Tim. You're just trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result when PSK's position hasn't been contested and he has a clear line of sight the whole way through to just land headshot after headshot. Just madness, mate. A hell of a round to pick up. Brings the game back 5-5. And at this point, Team Liquid, have you got it in you for a 6th?
I really think they do. They've got some serious momentum. That is now 3 in a row for them. As we've said, they've fought all the way back from 4-0 down and got themselves back level 5-all. And right now they are looking to outdo, they are looking to better Team 1. Team 1 coming in with a 4-2 defensive half, but right now Team Liquid, they're keen to get 5-1 on the board. They last played Dorms back in round 8 and got themselves a solid victory on this site. Can they do it again? Can they get themselves onto that match point opportunity? I think it could be really damaging to the morale of Team 1 if they come from 4-0 ahead to find themselves fighting against the match point in the laundry site against Team Liquid. That's going to be a huge ask for them to get anything out of round 12.
Round 11. It's all squared up. It's all tied up, and it's quite exhilarating with the way it's been played so far. Each and every round being close twists and turns. Team 1 probably going to be a bit frustrated by the way that prior round went as well. It replaying in their mind a little bit. PSK, he had their number. He knew exactly how to counter him, and shot after shot, that position just overpowered anything that Team 1 could do. They had no answer for it. They didn't go for the gamble to just try and take him down, and A consistent gamble of gambiting to just try and get the diffuser down didn't work out. Now they've been left in this position with a gigantic comeback that's been mounted from Team Liquid. They've been able to patch up the holes and get the game back to a 5-5 stance. But the issue is, of attrition, it's going to be a 5 versus 4. Liquid, they lose out on the opening pick this time as PSK, for all the terror that he caused into the prior round, he'll have his lips removed into this one, Tim, as the castle has been busted. And let's see if the castle crashers of Team 1 can now utilize that momentum to pick up another round.
Hatches will be opened, and there is another opportunity here for a nade, but it will be unsuccessful. Just taking a little bit of a guess as to where somebody might be located up on that top floor site. 1 minute left to go, and Team 1 just need to think about pressuring on, aggressing a little more. They've done well so far. They've got themselves the opening kill. Palu is just going to take out a drone there. He's keeping himself alive in the center of sight, and this could be a dangerous position for Team Liquid. Team 1 have got themselves established on that double window. It is really difficult potentially to rotate and move around sight with a man out there, but Moringa, he will use those vertical angles on the reverse and get the kill onto Foles, leveling things up 4 versus 4. 30 seconds left to go, and we've seen this a number of times on this site that it's actually very difficult to peel back the final layers of this defense. It's all well and good getting a couple of kills and opening up the roads into sight, but then when you get there with only 20 seconds, there's some great angles that can be held. Nesk shutting down for Leapox there. We find ourselves 3 versus 3, but Nesk and Moringa are seriously low health at the minute. Challenged from the white stairs successfully, but the time is ticking down. And that is a huge double for Moringa. He can't get the last 1 versus 1, and right now Palu just needs to keep himself alive. It's him versus Raps. Ring around the roses, and that's exactly what he'll do. Great plays, Palu. Heads up there, knew the timer was ticking down. Himself alive. Second time tonight we've seen him successfully do that, and he wins the round based on time. Team Liquid, they go ahead. They give themselves the opportunity to close this one out.
Mate, I'm surprised we didn't just see the spam there, Tim, as he charged into the room, and just hope that maybe there'll be a lucky stray bullet that will connect and find the frag. Just pre-fire it and hope for the best, because you had no time anyway. It probably would have been the next best play you possibly could have gone for, but in the end, Palu, timekeeper, some call him Kronos, as he's able to just keep himself alive, hanging in the balance and waiting for the time to kick over so they can now get into this position. A hell of a comeback, literally from nothing, from rags to riches here. Bit by bit, they have built themselves a way into the game, and now it seems like, Tim, it's just a matter of, is it their game to lose? Can they lock it down, get this final round, take it 7-5, and go on into the second map with their heads held high, really crushing the momentum of Team 1 that have been waiting so long to play this series and have now just been backhanded when it looked like it was their game to win? Or is Team 1 going to keep it close, take us through overtime, and see if maybe that's where the true victory will lie?
Not an easy site to come into, having to get a result as the attackers here. Round 7, we saw Reduct open things up with a kill onto Nesk, and Team 1 managed to progress through that round and get a victory attacking down here on Laundry. But then round 9, we went there again, and this time PSK opened them up with a 4K, a huge 2 on a Nitro just as the diffuser went down. They were unable to defend that post plant, and Team Liquid shut it down. So I'm sure that is still going to be ringing in their ears, the explosion from that Nitro, and PSK once again showing that he really is the killer of the Laundry, just coming through with the opening kill as well, and that now gives the advantage to Team Liquid. And you've just really got a feel here that this is heading in one direction. Team 1 just really seem to have lost their way in the last couple of rounds.
Gonna find a torch, light up the path, and find your way back onto the pathway to success here, because Team Liquid, they've certainly found that path, and they have been sprinting down it with their sights set on living it large here on Oregon and making this opening map be a monstrous one in terms of the comeback. Team 1 down at the start, losing Falls early on, as he falls into the Netherrealm, will hinder them, but is it going to end their spree? Will that be the decider of their fate and mean that it is going to be over going forward, or is there still an opportunity to get back into the game? Can they find a pick and somewhat swing it back in their favor. Looking for another frag right now as they work their way in slowly but surely. Team Liquid instead just playing on the Wolf Pack. Look at the crossfires they've got set up here. Nearly everyone in position, watching each other's backs and just ready for a war against Team 1. That's the way the game is going to go. And Sexy Cake with the Nitro chucks it out, throws it through the air, bombards down as he'll detonate and destroy anyone that's in front of him. Thatcher's been smashed out, clean, leaving it up to just 3 men for Team 1 here. Redux, Philippox, and Raps. Raps is the only one that will get a kill, though, as he's poised and strikes back against PSK, bringing it down to an outnumbered firefight towards the end of the round. And this could be the end of the game, unless it's clutched out now in the 2 versus 3. Monty pushing back Nesk, but he's not really going to be able to do too much when it comes to switching to his pistol. Raps as well, given an opportunity to him, but couldn't land the shot.
We find ourselves in a little bit of a lull with 30 seconds left to go. Team 1 just looking to regroup and get themselves an advantage here, and that is everything they needed. Raps on the double, now a triple as he gets a kill, but will be shut down. Nesk and Palu, who else? The dynamic duo, they close things out there, and that's going to be round number 1. Map number 1, sorry, going to Team Liquid. That is Oregon in the books, and it was clutched from the jaws of defeat, Jackie. 4-0 down they came into this, but managed to fight their way all the way back to 7-5 to take it without overtime, and that answers any of the fatigue questions we might have had about Team Liquid. They are looking fine and dandy, ready to go at the minute.
Wow. Team Liquid, they've somehow kept themselves refreshed and probably being